The last year or so has really been a crazy time for the world with what's been going on with the COVID-19 situation. But I think in many ways we are ruled by television. And what I mean by that is the power of television is enormous. And it's still the thing that people go to for news. I'd say most people. It could be the 6 o'clock news, or it could be the 10 o'clock news at night. Of course, we have 24-hour news channels, and the content that they put out, some good content, and then there's also some content that's questionable. Or I think journalists should be people that are free to ask questions to, rather than sticking to a certain narrative, and it could be about COVID-19, or it could be about anything you can think of, really. I think news channels shouldn't be like spokespeople of the government. They should be asking hard questions of the government, and I think they should have rounded discussions. So they should interview people with differing opinions, and sometimes they do. But like the narrative with COVID-19, it's very much a real virus. We know that it's killed people, predominantly older people, and that's not to diminish the what's happened, But I guess the point I'm making is there needs to be some balance, and for the vaccinations, and first it was for the elderly and the vulnerable, and then it was the 60-year-olds, and then it was the 50-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and it's getting lower and lower. And I've had about 4 letters sent to me in the post. I'm not interested. I'm not anti-vax. I've had vaccinations when I was a child. I'd consider them in the future, especially if I was going to do backpacking around somewhere where they've got malaria or some other diseases. So I'm not anti-vax, but I think what happens a lot is, in society in general, is there's a lot of labelling going on, and it's symptomatic of how society is. So if you're not on the left, you must be on the right. If you don't believe in this, then you must automatically believe in that. It's very, very polarised, and I think life is not like that. Life is shades of grey. We're not, human beings are not, you can't put us in little pigeonholes. I think human beings are complex, and the older I've got, with the more life experience I've got, I think that I have more questions. I think it's good to have questions and it's good to ask questions. But going back to COVID-19, I think there needs to be some balance, and I think we need to hear from scientists who have different opinions, because they're not. I don't think all scientists agree on some of the things around COVID-19. And last weekend, for example, in London, which is of course our capital city, there was a massive protest. Hundreds of thousands of people marching through London. People from all backgrounds. There was teachers, doctors, scientists, and of course there would have been extreme people there that are into the more outrageous theories, conspiracy theories. People that believe the moon isn't real and it's a hologram, and there's always going to be an element of those people in any kind of large crowd, and that kind of discredits the movement in a way, because there will be people there with legitimate concerns about what's been going on in society, the lockdowns, pushing what are still experimental vaccines really onto children. I've got a 15-year-old son. I don't want him having it. I don't think it's necessary. He's at no risk. Young people, it just hasn't been getting young people. This virus itself has been predominantly 70 plus, and I think it's more likely to be 80 plus as an average of of deaths. And as they've been vaccinated, as the elderly and the vulnerable have been vaccinated, then I don't see why young people have it. And I guess their theory is, well, they're not doing it for them, they're doing it because they're going to pass it on. But surely if you've been vaccinated, isn't that the point, to give you some protection? And if just looking around me, and I talk to people in shops and have conversations with my hairdresser, and I talk to people, and if I saw here in North Manchester, if I saw people, dying by, bodies everywhere, and like some lethal plague, believe me, I'd be queuing up for a vaccine if I believed it helped. But I'm not anti-vax, and it should be a choice. It should be a choice to whether or not you want to have the vaccine. But yeah, there definitely needs to be balance, and we're definitely ruled by television. It's incredibly powerful. There was a film in 1976 called Network with Peter Finch. He was the main, the starring role in the film, and that was a film looking at the media, looking at television, and he's a newsreader who has a bit of a breakdown on air. You could call it an epiphany, actually. He kind of rails against television and how it's a lot of times it's just for ratings, and how there's money involved, and which is true. Some people say we don't have a democracy, we have a corporatocracy, which means giant corporations have a say in the media. In fact, these giant corporations own these major news channels. And as for our BBC here in England, we're supposed to be kind of impartial and stuff, but really I just see the BBC, and I see Sky News as well, being spokespeople of the government, really, at a lot of times, instead of giving time to open, honest discussions around COVID-19 or other kind of big issues. I've talked enough now. If you've got this far, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I want to carry on with my walk.